All right, so we've got our new DIY lens shade and reflector. And so let's go ahead and test out how the light's working. So again, we want to set ourselves up in backlighting. So again, I'm going to turn in this direction and we can see, again, same as yesterday, we're getting quite a bit of, brightness in that sky, and a kind of a washed out effect that's going to happen, right? And so we're going to go ahead and just put this directly inside. And I've got it set up so that I can still access this button as I'm holding it. And so what we want to do to start with, let's see if we can get one without any of the lens flare. And I'm going to go ahead and zoom in. So let's try to get some with lens flare. And I can just look right inside here and I can tell if it's getting hit by the shade, if it's blocking it or not. Let's get one with some lens flare. I'm just going to change the angle a little bit. That'll also push some of that light. And I just want it to be blocking, if I look inside of here, I just want it to be blocking and creating shade in that space. So hopefully we're getting some. Hopefully I'm getting the face, I can obviously see. So one of the things I noticed is it's pretty close, but I want that longer lens. So it might be helpful to actually be able to extend it a little bit. So I'm going to go inside really quick and I'm going to add basically a selfie stick to it so that it can be a little bit further out and give us a little bit more control. So when we got outside, one of the things that I was thinking about doing, it's a little bit tricky to be able to get to the little shutter button, because you got to have your hand back there and be able to click it at the same time as you're trying to do everything else. And if you're, ideally with this project, it would be great to shoot another person as part of your assignment, right? But if you need to take self-portraits like I'm doing, then it might be useful to take this extra step. So we're going to basically create a selfie stick for our reflectors. That way we can extend it a little bit further and get further back away from us without having to be wide angle, because that'll pull the background in tighter. And also it would probably be good to incorporate a shutter release as well. So let's just look at how that's going to work. So here's our board, and then here's our stick. And this one, it has a little bit like a curve to it. So I think if I hold that, that'll be pretty good. Now I can keep it flat and, change the angle and those sort of things. So basically I just need to be able to put the stick through there. So there's a couple ways I could approach doing that. I could just make a little like cutout and set it through there. I could just poke a hole directly through there. We've got a little bit of room down here, that is going to be small, big enough where we can kind of get that hole through there. So I think it'll work okay. So again, I want to make sure that it's obviously on this side, not the other side. And so that looks like it's going to work pretty well. The snugger the fit, the better. And then basically I'm just going to tape it in place. And let's make sure that when I go and hold it, that the handle part, is going through there. Okay. Now, if you don't have a stick, right, there's other alternatives that you could do, right? You could use a yardstick. You could use a, like a broom handle. You could even take a piece of cardboard and make it into, if you make it into a triangle, right? So just like one long strip and a couple of scores and fold it together on top of itself. Triangles are the strongest structural form. And so if you do that and you could attach that would work as well, right? So again, like all of our projects, work with what you have, be innovative, be creative, think of ways to approach it. Even if it's not exactly the way that I'm doing it, that'll be fine. All right, so let me get a piece of tape. We'll put this together and we'll go outside and try it out. So that's the basic idea. If I was going to do something more permanent, I probably would use some hot glue or some other things, but just kind of a quick fix to attach that part so that I can hold it, I can get it a little bit further away from me. And so then the other thing that I want to do is I'm going to go ahead and here's my little remote shutter. So I'm just going to remove this part for right now. Then what I'm going to do is just, keep it so that I can kind of, easily get to the camera button. So if I'm holding it, probably around there would be just fine. All right, so then there's that part, and so then I'll go ahead and sync it up with my phone. So when we go outside, we can test out how the selfie stick might add a little bit to get it a little bit further away from us. All right, so we're outside now with our new improved selfie stick, and we'll go ahead and, I'm going to set the camera up so that it's on 2 times. That way it's a little more telephoto. We're just going to go ahead and insert it in the back here. And as we get ready to get started, it's a little bit windy, but hopefully it'll hold up okay. Let's try a couple that just have the little bit of lens flare, right? So we've got some that the lens flare is kind of happening. And then we just need to tilt it forward just a little bit. And as we're doing it, just making sure that that front element is not getting hit by the light, right? That the shade is blocking that part of the camera. So if we need to raise it up or tilt it down, we can do that. And the main point is that we've got a way to do our shutter release and minimize some of that lens flare. So just kind of, adjust as you need to. And again, we can see with the lens flare, and then without. So that's the basic idea. You might want to, work with, if you are going to do a selfie stick, think of ways that maybe will, especially if it's going to be windy, that's going to kind of stabilize it a little bit more. Maybe make something that is going to have like a brace towards the back so it can't leave forward or back, set the right angle for you so that it's got some good structure to it. We just did kind of a quick one so we'd be able to see. We can definitely see it's reflecting that light. We've got the ability to create that shade so that we've got much improved lighting for our backlighting. So excited to see what you guys are going to make and what you construct and how your portraits are going to turn out. And don't forget, you're going to be not only taking backlit portraits, but also utilizing leading lines that'll draw our eye to the main subject.